Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing Silver Nemesis, the final Cybermen story of Classic Who, and we'll start with part 3, and then I'll discuss the story as a whole. So, the final part of Silver Nemesis. This is where it all kind of falls apart. It gets a bit silly. First off, the Cybermen. I talked about how bad their costume design is in the last part with those ridiculous gloves. Those gloves are just awful. They're just god-awful. Also, I am convinced that the Cybermen were trained how to shoot by stormtroopers, because they definitely have that stormtrooper aim. You know, the couldn't hit the broadside of a planet aim. Oh my lord. Like, they shoot at Ace so many times and never managed to hit her, while in part 2, they could at least hit what they were aiming at. Granted, those people were standing there and Ace is moving, but still. Also, I don't understand how they weren't able to kill Ace a couple times when she's like right there, like she's at the bottom of a stairway. One of them fires, she ducks back, and then before she fires back, she has to come back up the stairs, crouch down, draw back, and fire. And the Cyberman lets her. It's like he fires, and then he's like, I wait now. Oh, I'm hit. It's like it's a JRPG where it's turn-based combat. He got his turn, he missed, so he has to wait for her to have her turn. Oh, she got it. That happens a few times where they fire, and then they stop, and then they stand there until they get shot. Now, the way I've done this in my head canon is that the guns take a second to recharge. That's the way I do it. Their guns are so powerful, they fire off a series of shots, and then they're out of power and they take 2 or 3 seconds to recharge. That makes sense, and that makes that work better for me. Why the Cyberman, had to wait while she took aim and fired. I mean, he still could have tried to hit her with a gun or choke her or something, but still, it makes sense, because without that, it's just ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. The bit when she's facing off against 3 of them on the catwalk, kills one and ducks, and the other 2 shoot each other. You think one of them would be like, bang, I'll just aim down a little. There's so many coincidences and so many just potluck instances of our main characters not getting killed, of Ace and the Doctor not getting killed, that it's just highly coincidental. Like the fact Ace didn't get killed there, when they're on the catwalk and she shoots one and the other 2 shoot each other when she ducks. And then there's the bit when the Doctor first activates the Nemesis. When he walks, when the guy's like, he's not just going to walk in here with the bow. And the Doctor walks in and does this weird dance where he gets around them, touches it to the bow, and manages to get back out of the room. And he pulls it off. Like, you figure at least one of the Cybermen would have grabbed him. I mean, these are Cybermen. They got a strong grip. Ask the Brigadier and the 5 Doctors. They got a strong grip. If he was doing that little dancing and one of them grabbed him, it would have been like, oh, crap, he got me. But instead he dances around, touches her with Nemesis with the bow, dances around again, and then they get out, and nobody grabs them. And my willing suspension of disbelief is going, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And later it's going, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could. It's just... it's so ridiculously silly. The bit when Fiona throws herself into the Nemesis and they merge with that... And the bit where all of the other people have to kill each other. All of the enemies end up dying by each other's hands, basically, except for Fiona's right-hand man, who turns out not to be so bad a guy. But, this person has to live long enough to kill this person, and then they can die by this person who lived long enough to kill this person, and now they get killed. It's like a checklist you're going down. This person has to die, but not before they kill this person, and then that person can die because he gets killed by this person. It's a little by the numbers. Now, it has parts in it I like. The incidental music is fine. I enjoyed that. The Nemesis, some of the effects on the Nemesis look cool, like when she first rises up and like wakes up, and then you see the glowing effect on her. That looks pretty neat. And then it shows the castle with the rain coming down on it. That looked pretty cool. The ending scene when Fiona threatens to reveal the Doctor's secret, like when she's talking about how, you know, you have all of these secrets, but I know them. Nemesis told me. That's actually a really good scene. That whole scene there when the Doctor is telling the Cybermen, you know, stop, I have the bow. That whole bit right there. One, when he does that part when the Cybermen show up to Ace at the end, he's like, stop or I'll destroy the bow. I love the fact that he does that in his normal voice. He doesn't go into that falsetto voice, that fake voice he does sometimes when he's being loud. That always irks me. He doesn't do that here. He just talks loudly in his voice. And that really sells the moment there. Although it is still a little silly that the Cybermen walk into the flames and get killed by the jets. The Doctor really had to be careful with his timing there. That's a little, again, plot convenience. There's a lot of plot convenience in this. Plot holes and plot convenience. This thing has more plot holes than this thing has more holes than a block of Swiss cheese. And it's got a lot of plot convenience. This happens because the plot needs it to happen. But the ending scene, though, between this, I'm kind of surprised the Cyber Leader doesn't just kill the Doctor, but he doesn't. He stands around talking. You figure it's the Doctor. He knows the Doctor and how dangerous he is. You figured he'd just, blah, yeah, that's that over with. But he doesn't. But the actual dialogue there between the Doctor and Fiona is really good. And I love the dare. McCoy's really good at doing that kind of don't screw with me type scene. He gets this look on his face like he's just serious, like, you don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. You know, it's really good. And the way he's daring her to do it, yeah, tell him, I don't care. Do what you want. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. You know. And then he basically, even though she called him a pawn, he's like, wrong pawn, checkmate. I love that whole scene, the way that plays out with them at the end is actually really good. And then the actual very ending scene when they take her kind of sidekick back to his time in 1638. And she's like, hey, that's a good way to end the episode when she's like, who are you? And he's just like, shh. I actually like that. It's a great final shot. The story as a whole, I like it. I think the first two parts are stronger than part three. Like I said, it doesn't really fall apart for me until part three. The first two might have a couple issues, but part three is where it really kind of falls apart for me. I still enjoy the story. I think it's underrated. Although episode 3, I can kind of see where it has that reputation. There are definitely a lot of villains going on in it. It doesn't need 3 villains going on in it. It's a little crowded for a 3-parter. I think all of the villains are doing a good job. Fiona's doing a good job with her character. Her sidekick guy is doing a good job. The Cybermen are fine. David Banks is always a treat to see, so I'm happy to see David Banks back, even if I don't care for their outfits. As I mentioned before in the part 2 review, the actual chrome helmets I'm fine with, but the suits and those gloves, just, God, those gloves look so awful and ridiculous, and I don't see how they can hold anything. They just look, I just want to laugh every time I see them. And then the militant group, you know, they're, the actors playing them are doing fine. It's really just kind of the main guy really doing anything, but he's doing his part well. Of course, Sylvester and Sophie are putting in a good performance. The actual filming, I don't know. I never like when they do those outdoor shots on that 1-inch tape. It always looks weird to me. I would rather them have done them in 16mm film, but they don't switch completely over to videotape by this point. And the location work on that 1-inch film just looks a little odd to me at times, a lot of times, and kind of throws me off. The incidental music's hit or miss. When it's good, it's really good. It has a couple bad moments, and then some points where it's fine. It really is a bit of a mixed bag, but some of the stuff in it I really enjoy. The story is definitely a rehash of Daleks, which even Ace points out at the end, and then you told him to do this, you know, just like the Daleks. She flat out calls him out on that, really. Remembrance of the Daleks is a much better story. But Silver Nemesis is fine. I enjoyed it. I still think it's a little underrated. I liked it well enough. Just episode 3 does not live up to parts 1 and 2. Part 3 really lets it down with a lot of things. That just too many happy coincidences that have to happen for our TARDIS team not to die. And it just seems like that can't be things the Doctor just had worked out in his head. for me personally. So Silver Nemesis, what do you think of it? Comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out, and I certainly appreciate it. I have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There's a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Finn Perkins, Colin Coney, and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their support as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does help. I have YouTube memberships available as well. My P.O. box is down there. That's actually how I got this story. One of my subscribers, Simon, sent this to me. Simon's been a huge supporter of the channel. He sent several things. And he sent this to me so I could rewatch it, as I'd only seen the story once before, and that was years ago. So I really appreciate that, Simon. So the P.O. box is down there, and a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.